Hey guys, Rick here from Hobby Time. Welcome back to video number 2 so far. Now this video I'm going to start out by doing the helmet. Now some of you may have seen in the thumbnail that the helmet has already been done, and yes, that is true. So we'll go through the process that I've used to print it off from the file. And by the way, all these files are from Nico Industries. Amazing guy, plus it's just the files that he has on there for his subscription service. Just if you're getting out with 3D printing or getting started, like the amount of stuff on there is awesome. Armor, helmets, busts, and then you've got his flexi toys and things like that. It's just amazing. So really give Nico Industries a look, because it's because of him that we're printing this now. So what we'll do, we'll jump into armorsmith. As you can see here, this is a print of my body. So basically when you buy armorsmith, you do your dimensions and everything like that. We've already imported the helmet here, so we'll attach this. Now the only thing, a lot of these files are a little bit smaller, as you can see. That's probably a bit small for my head, if I'm honest. So I'll go and scale that up to about 1300%. We'll have a look here, see if that's any closer. And let's just give it a quick rotate to see. Now it's probably still a little bit small for me, so we might go to 1550. We're getting somewhere now. Now obviously this version of the helmet that I have does not have the ears attached. The ears are separate, which is what I wanted to do. You can print it any way you like. So we still need to go about 1650. Now the way I've designed my armor is that I will be printing it essentially, my head will be inside the chest with the size of the armor that I'm doing. Potentially a little bit, the top of my head may come out, but we're not sure as yet. It depends when the chest comes out to scale how big it'll be. So with armorsmith, it's pretty simple like that. Once you've got it to the size that you want, which is, I'm quite happy with that there. Plenty of room there, up and above, so that you can see. You can also, if you want to, you can change the opacity, bring it down to 50%. That'll show you that, you know, essentially I've got plenty of room inside that helmet, whether I want to go inside it or not. So what we'll do, if we're happy with that, we'll then click on it and we can send it off and obviously export that part through here. So you've got export model. Once you've exported it, it'll export as an STL. So once we've got that as an STL, because obviously I wanted to print it separate, just the way it worked on my printer, I then went into Mesh Mixer. Here's our helmet here that has already been sliced, so I took a cut to make it a bit easier. As you can see, it's in 2 pieces already. Now, obviously I did it this way just because it suited my printer better. You may get away with printing it as one hit, and then you're perfect and fine and no problems at all. Unfortunately, I didn't have that luxury as such. With the Anycubic, it doesn't like certain things, so we just had to make do. Now, once you're done with these, you can then obviously export them to obviously your save files, STLs. So for me, I'll just get this out of the way. So we then switch on to our helmet. So when I printed the first helmet, I used Cura. Now I use Prusa Slicer, as I mentioned in the intro, so I do both. It all depends. It's a sort of, I guess, a matter of personal preference, really. So we'll open up Cura here, which we've got here. So what I've done here with the chin and the head obviously separate. We'll load that up now, see how we go. Now obviously I forgot to save that, which is really handy, so I'll need to scale that up to 1850% to get the size that we need, which was a bit stupid of me. Now the program's not too bad to use. Sort of basic functionality for a beginner and everything like that, which obviously I am. Now the only thing you've kind of got to do here is get it sitting on the bed flat, which will let it do its thing. We'll let it go onto the bed itself and we'll see how it turns out from there. We'll then take a look at it. So I'm happy with that. Really the only place I need supports are going to be up around here. Now when I printed the original version, I try to make it as strong as possible. I printed supports in here as well, and as well as the top of there. So it's entirely up to you whether you do that. Now I'll just bring in the head into Cura and then we'll go from there. So I'll just bring the head into Cura and we'll go from there, making it a bit easier. So I'll move this camera out of my way a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Now that's loading up now. Now by all means, there are so many different ways to do things. I am far from an expert. I'm very much a beginner, other than sort of all these Clone Trooper helmets and Rex helmets that I've printed, and obviously you can see a Darth Revan helmet and a few others around the place as well. That's kind of my extent, other than the fact that I have done a Clone Trooper armor as well. But let's have a look at this. Now what I did with essentially with this, when I printed originally, I jumped on the forum, on the 3D printing forum, and I asked advice for everybody, and I guess most of the people said to print it obviously on its back side like this, which is what we did. I had rotated it around slightly so to give it a better angle, but essentially that's how I printed it. Now I put support blockers here. I found that it didn't really need those. Obviously I'm using a 0.6 nozzle as well now, whereas I was using a 0.4 nozzle before, obviously to speed up print times. Now I believe it took for that helmet, I think the 2 pieces was about 2 days. You could probably get away with a lot quicker than that. Unfortunately, the Anycubic Mega X that I use has got its 300 by 300 by 300 essentially build plate. It can be quite a bit slow. Now I am in the process, I should say, of getting a new printer. I'll probably go for another Anycubic, and it'll probably be the Cobra Plus or the Cobra Max, will just depend. I would like one of the new Elegoo's. Unfortunately, no one on the planet can seem to get any of those. So once that's printed, I'll show you some photos here. So that was obviously the helmet. As you can see, come off the printer, I had to do the chin. Now I had a bit of layer shift, so there was a bit of a gap in the chin. Now I've used resin to smooth over the helmet. So I use the 3D resin, paint over the top, use a UV light and cure it, and also use it for the joint to try fill it in a little bit. Now, because obviously the helmet's already done, it's a bit hard to show you the painting process. Now, here's some pictures of the painting of the helmet, of it painted, I should say. Now basically I've used some filler primer, obviously the resin as well. Then we've done the ears on top of that, which had to be Bondi. They didn't work out too well, but obviously being on top of the body, people weren't going to see that detail, so I didn't kind of go to that extent like I did with the arms and so on and so forth. Now for the visor, I have done what I do for the Clone Trooper helmets, it's really hard to find the welding masks in Australia, so what I've done is I've bought some clear polycarbonate, and then I obviously cut that to shape, put that inside the helmet, and then once you do that, I get some clear window tint that you can buy from your local hardware store, and then obviously I'll put the tint on. And so you can see the rough version of what it is here now. Tidied up down the track, but this is where we're at with the helmet. I'll probably need to add a little bit of foam and so on and so forth, so if it does have any rotation or anything like that, it won't rub the paint off. Also, I do have some electronics to work on for the helmet, so I can have the GoPro inside there, or potentially a camera, so I can film everything from obviously from inside the suit if my head is down inside the chest. Now, if you can see sort of the scale, here's a small Baymax. You can actually see the size of his chest in comparison to the rest of his body. Quite big, and I'm quite short. I am 5'7". So Baymax is 6 foot, according to obviously a lot of wiki pages and stuff like that. I aim to make him a little bit taller, a little bit bigger for scale, sort of give that impressive size. But yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll continue on. Any questions or comments, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'll put up a few pictures and things like that of the process and how we went. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.